Hello dear students, welcome to the e-learning class of social science. Today we are going to start with chapter number 18, that is the coming of British. From here we are going to start or we are going to step towards the basics of history. Okay, so let's start. First of all, you people know about it that Vasco da Gama was the first person who discovered a sea route to India from Europe by sailing around Africa in 1498. This we have studied in class 3 as well. Okay, so he was the person who discovered the sea route to India. Fine. The Dutch people, they came to India after the Portuguese people. Then the British people arrived after this, who emerged to the most powerful of all these people like Dutch and Portuguese. Now, in 1600, the British East India Company came to India and established the trade centers with the intention of trading in spices, cotton and silk clothes, medicines, perfumes, precious stones and metals. Now, what do you understand with trade? Trade means the export or import, or we can say the business of something. Okay, so they established the trading centers in India. Now, if we see that where were these centers established? So, the British established the first trading center at Surat in Gujarat. Okay, and then the factories were set up in Bombay, Madras and Calcutta, which are now known as Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata, which became the main trading centers for the British East India Company, and these factories became the main trading centers for the British East India Company. Fine. Now, if we are talking about the people who established the trading center in Pondicherry, they were the French people in 1664. So, the French, Dutch and the Portuguese fought with the British people for the power. Okay, and then they established the trading center in Pondicherry. Then this caused the conflict, or we can say the battle between the British and French people for establishing the trading centers, and at the end what happened? The British defeated the French people. Okay, and won and then gained great profits and were greedy for more. Because of this, they broke some rules and even misused the facilities granted to them by the Mughal rulers. Now, the British has been allowed to trade in India without paying any taxes. So, for this, some battles took place. Okay, so let's see which all battles took place because of their behavior. So, first of all, Battle of Plassey. Now, what does this say? The Battle of Plassey was about the British who has been allowed to trade in India without paying any taxes. Okay, and they had begun to keep an army in Bengal and fortified. Fortified means the military or defense forces of Fort William without the permission of Siraj ud Dawla. Now, who was Siraj ud Dawla? He was the Nawab of Bengal. Then what happened? When the Siraj ud Dawla demanded that the British will pay the taxes, so the British people started a war against him in 1757, and this battle was known as the Battle of Plassey. And here in this battle, the Nawab of Bengal was defeated and even killed. So it was under the control of British people now. Then the next battle which took place was the Battle of Baksar. Now, what was that? In 1764, the East India Company started another war against the combined army of Thai Nawabs of Bengal and Awadh, and the Mughal Emperor of Shah Alam at Baksar. You can see the picture of Shah Alam. Okay, so between them the conflict took place, a war took place, and this was started by East India Company. They won the war and then obtained the right to collect revenue in Bengal. Now what is revenue? Revenue means the money for that particular area. Okay, the charges or the taxes which they used to take for the people who are staying there. Okay, so the British introduced the policies after this. Which all were these policies? The doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliance. Now what these policies are about? See, first of all we will see about the policy of doctrine of lapse. This policy was introduced by Lord Wellesley, who was the Governor General of India from 1789 to 1805. Now, according to this policy, the Indian rulers had to give up their armies, and in return the British would protect them from foreign attacks. Okay, so what was the policy about? This was just about the give and take policy, you can say, that the Indian rulers, they will give their armies to the British people and the British people will protect them in return of it from the foreign attacks or foreign countries. Okay, now we will see the another policy, that was subsidiary alliance. Now what was that? It was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Okay, and this policy was about that if an Indian ruler died without an heir. Now what do you mean by heir here? Heir is a person who is chosen to ascend the throne, which means that the person who will control that particular area or particular dynasty, or you can say the kingdom, after the death of his father or forefathers. Okay, so this was heir. But what will happen if an Indian ruler will die without any heir? Then their kingdom will or would come under the British rule. Okay, so this was the policy which was subsidiary alliance. Now, then what happened? Next, the growing of discontent took place among the Indians. Now, how it happened? As you all know that India was an agricultural country, right? Entire population depend on agriculture. So, what happened? The British wanted to collect as much wealth as they could, and they forced the farmers to grow the cash crops like opium and indigo. Okay, and these crops were then bought at a very low price by the British and sold in the foreign lands at high price. Okay, so what they did actually, they you can say they ditched the Indian people. What they did, they bought the crops in low price and sold it in the high price to the foreign lands to earn more and more. Then farmers had to pay heavy taxes also, which resulted that the Indian people or Indian farmers became very poor. Okay, then the Indian handloom industry was destroyed due to the policies of British people. The silk, cotton growers were forced to sell their products to the British at low prices and then manufactured and sent back to the India for sale at high prices. Okay, the Indian cotton growers and weavers were left unemployed because of these all policies what the British were doing, that buying the cotton, silk or whatever crops they were growing in the low price and then selling it at very high price. So in this case, they were becoming poor as well, they were becoming unemployed as well. Okay, so now because of this, what happened, you know? One revolt took place. And now what was that revolt? The revolt was of 1857. Revolt of 1857 took place because of these all exploitation which was done by the British on the Indian farmers. Okay, now what was that revolt? The discontent among the Indian rulers, farmers and weavers spread to the Indian soldiers as well. They were paid much less as compared to the British soldiers. Even they were also denied the higher posts which were only reserved for the British soldiers, and the Indian soldiers were given the rank of a sepoy in the British army. Now what do you mean by sepoy? Sepoy means the Indian soldier who is working under the British rule or under the British orders. Okay. However, the things became more worse when the introduction of this Enfield rifle took place. Okay. Now what is that Enfield rifle? You can see in the picture, this is Enfield rifle. This introduction of Enfield rifle in the army, they hurt the religious sentiments of both Hindus and the Muslims. Why? Because the cartridges in the rifles were greased with animal fat. Okay, and this hurt the sentiments of both Hindus and Muslims. The Indian soldiers refused to use these cartridges and then revolted against the British in 1857 in Meerut. So this revolt took place actually because of the exploitation of British on the Indian farmers and weavers, and as well as the introduction of Enfield rifle. Okay, so then what happened? Some leaders were there for this revolt. So now we will see who were those leaders in that revolt. First of all, you can see that was Nana Sahib. In the left corner you can see that is Nana Sahib, then Tatia Tope. Next in the right side you can see Begum Hazrat Mahal and Rani Lakshmi Bai, and these were the main leaders of this revolt. The farmers and the workers also joined the revolt, and the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar, which you can see at the center, he was declared the supreme leader by the soldiers. Okay. However, the British had a larger army and better weapons. Even then they crushed the revolt. Many Indian leaders and soldiers were arrested and executed, and Bahadur Shah Zafar was arrested and sent to the another country due to political reasons, and he was forced to live there. Okay, so this was all about the revolt of 1857. Now we will see what happened after this revolt of 1857. What all are the results or consequences which took place after the revolt of 1857? Let's see one by one. First of all, British introduced many administrative changes after this revolt. Okay, and the 400 years of Mughal rule, this came to an end. Then some local rulers were allowed to rule their territories but were under the British rule. Then the rule of British East India Company came to an end. From then onwards, the India was governed directly by the Queen of England. And who was that Queen of England? Queen Victoria became the Empress of India. Okay, the British government appointed some Governor Generals instead of Viceroys. Okay, and this revolt made the people to realize that the British were exploiting them, and this caused the people to come together and fight against the British people. There was the rise of nationalism. Nationalism means a strong feeling of love or affection for their country. So this was risen inside the mind and heart of the people because of these all revolts and battles which took place due to the exploitation of British over the Indian people. Okay, I hope you understood the chapter very well about the coming of British and about different policies and battles which took place. Okay, so the further information you will get in the next chapters. Okay, till then, take care and thank you.